Good morning. Okay, before we get started today, I've got a goofy story for you, kind of. So my father lives in like northern Wisconsin and lives alone, and he has 33 acres in the northern woods, and he's a bit of a hermit, especially now after this virus has hit. He's like 70. He has breathing problems just normally, and so yeah, he's been really kind of being a shut-in, as he should right now. And anyway, so because he's not really having a lot of human contact, he has started getting into, whatever he can find, which turns out is four ducks on, like, we've got a pond at his house, and there's four ducks that have shown up on his pond. And I'm not exaggerating here. I swear to you that when I talk to him, which is like once every day or 2 days, he seriously talks about ducks for 10 minutes at a time. He loves talking about them. He tells me like which ducks like the other ducks, like which ones he thinks are a couple, which ones fight, like how the ducks are doing. He hasn't named them, but I feel like maybe he has named them and he just hasn't told me what their names are so that he didn't sound too crazy. But yeah, like I know way too much about these ducks. But what are you going to do, Everybody finds their own thing, but yeah. Yikes. Okay, sorry, back to the algebra. Thought you might want to hear a little bit about my life since I used to tell you about my life all the time. Anyway, Extra Credit Puzzle is available online, Strimco number 2, if you want to learn how to do Strimco at all. It was last week we started the first one, which was like 427 or something. If you want to look there, you can see. And yeah, for like a tutorial video, but the newest puzzle will be posted. You can turn that in for extra credit. Please make sure you do that if you want some extra credit added to your grade. Speaking of extra credit, let's do a warm-up. It's warm-up number 5. If you collect all of these in your notebook and take a picture of it at the end of the semester, I will give you extra credit for this quarter, which will definitely help some of you, especially those of you who are like have a B+ right now and you're trying to get an A, or I don't know, something like that. It will bump you up definitely a little bit, so I would do that. All right, the warm-up says you don't have to write down this warm-up, just your work. Write down that the warm-up state is 5-5, and that this is warm-up number 5. Whoa, fives. Peter Parker wants to self-publish his comic book. The printing company offers to print the book for a flat rate of $220 plus $3 per copy. He has $400 to spend max on this project. All right, so let's talk about what he spends. He's going to spend $220 no matter what on this project, right? It's a flat rate. He has to pay that. I don't know, they're making screens for the printing press or whatever the heck they use, or the digital copies, the originals basically, plus $3 per copy. So that's plus $3 for every book that they make. And he's got $400 to spend on this project. So he can spend $400. And what he spends has to be less than or equal to $400. So $400, like it's eating the bigger thing, right? $400 is the biggest. The most he can spend is $400, and he has to spend less than that or equal to it. That's it. So I'm just going to write down the same thing down here. It's kind of hard to write these equations sometimes, and the first 2 problems of your homework will be like this, where you have to write an equation. So kind of think about what you're writing. You're saying that he's going to spend less than or equal to $400. Okay, then you solve it like a normal equation. We're going to subtract 220 from both sides. I get 3b is less than or equal to 180. And then I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides to get b by itself. So then b is less than or equal to 60. So what that means is that he can pay to have made 60 books or less than that. So he could make 1 book. He has enough money for 1 book. He has enough money for 5 books or 10 books or 52 books or 59 books or 60 books, but not 61. So it's not like the answer is 60 books. The answer is less than or equal to 60 books. All right. That's it for the warm-up. Make sure you have it down. Pause the video if you need to. You need to make sure that all of your work is shown. And the answer is shown, not just the answer. You also need to make sure you have the date and that it's warm-up number 5. If you want to go back looking for the old warm-ups, they're all at the beginning of videos. You're going to have to kind of hunt around on my YouTube channel. But it's always like within the first 30 seconds, so you should know that it's coming. Hopefully you have them anyway. All right, today we're doing 6.2 notes, solving multi-step inequalities, and the homework's not too long. It's only 7 problems. Should be pretty fast. This is actually a pretty easy, well, I guess not easy for everybody, but easier section because it is just like when we were solving regular equations, except for now we're solving inequalities. And there's only one rule that's really different. So this is 6.2. We are solving multi-step inequalities. And this is 5. Okay, so there is one important thing to remember. In fact, this is, if you're going to write down anything today, it is this thing. This is the most important thing. And that is that I care about you deeply and that I'm thinking about you all the time. No, I do care about you deeply, but that's not what we're writing down right now. We're writing down if you multiply or divide by a negative number when solving an inequality, then you flip the sign of the inequality. Ooh, that's a horrible F. All right, so if you multiply or divide by a negative number when you're solving an inequality, you have to flip the sign. So let's try example number 1. Negative x over 2 minus 17 is less than 7. I put a little space there because 7s and less thans get a little confusing. You need to solve this and put the answer on a number line. Okay, so let's see. We're going to do this just like normal. This is one side of the equation. This is the other side of the equation. The only thing we have to remember is that if we multiply or divide by a negative number when solving it, we have to flip the sign. So if it's less than, we'll return it to greater than. If it's greater than, we'll turn it to less than. Okay, so here it says minus 17, so I'm going to add 17 to both sides to get rid of it. I've got negative x divided by 2 over here, still a less than. And then 7 plus 17 is 24. Okay, now I'm going to try to get that x by itself. And right now it's divided by 2, so the opposite of that to get rid of it is to multiply by 2. But also, do you remember me telling you that if there was a negative in front of the equation, you could act like that was a negative on top or a negative on bottom, but not a negative on both, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I'm going to act like it's a negative 2. So I'm going to put that negative actually down there instead, even though it really could be anywhere. And then I'm going to multiply by a negative 2 to get it by itself. So now I've got just x left is less than negative 48. But I just multiplied by a negative number. So actually what I need to do is follow my own rule. It's the only thing we have to remember. And when I multiply by a negative number, I have to switch my sign. So now it's a greater than sign instead of a less than sign. And then if I put it on a number line, it looks like this. Here's 0. Here's negative 48. It's not an equals to down here, so that's an open circle. And the answer is greater than negative 48, so the answer is to the right. A kid pointed out to me once that if you look at the equation here, like this is the answer right here, if you look at this equation, do you see how the skinny end points to the right? He